There is a conversation happening around you right now. Not between people, not between birds, not between animals making sounds in the distance. You are not part of this conversation. In fact, most humans never even realize it's happening. Yet every forest, every field, every backyard, and every patch of wilderness is filled with messages being exchanged every second. Messages about danger, about food, about territory, about love, about survival. And the strangest part is this. The animals having these conversations don't use words. They don't sing songs. They don't shout warnings. Many of them don't make any sound at all. Because the speakers are snakes. For centuries, humans believed snakes were silent creatures. Cold, emotionless, primitive. Animals that simply crawled, hunted, and disappeared. But science has uncovered something far more fascinating. Snakes possess a communication system so advanced, so alien, and so different from our own that we are only beginning to understand how it works. They have a language, not one built from words, but one built from chemicals, vibrations, body movements, and invisible signals that most humans will never notice. And once you understand how snakes communicate, you'll realize that every snake you have ever seen was probably saying something. You just didn't know how to listen. Most people think communication begins with sound. Humans talk. Dogs bark. Birds sing. Whales call across entire oceans. So naturally, we assume that animals communicate through noise. Snakes challenge that assumption completely. Because for a snake, sound is one of the least important ways to exchange information. Instead, snakes live inside a world of scent. A world so rich with information that it would seem almost supernatural to us. Imagine walking into a room and instantly knowing who had been there. When they left, whether they were afraid, whether they were healthy, whether they were searching for food, whether they were looking for a mate. That is essentially what snakes do every day. And they accomplish it with one simple movement. The tongue flick. Everyone has seen it. A snake pauses. Its tongue darts out, then disappears. A second later it happens again. And again. Many people assume this is a warning sign, a sign of aggression, a signal that the snake is preparing to strike. In reality, the snake is reading. Every flick of its tongue collects microscopic particles from the air and ground. Those particles are delivered to a specialized sensory organ known as the Jacobson's organ. This organ acts like a biological laboratory. It analyzes chemical traces left behind by other animals. The result is astonishing. The snake can identify species, determine direction, estimate how recently another animal passed through an area, and even recognize individual snakes. The ground itself becomes a giant message board. Every trail is a sentence. Every scent is a piece of information. Every tongue flick is the act of reading. What looks like a simple movement is actually one of the most sophisticated forms of communication in nature. Now imagine being a snake searching for a mate. Unlike wolves or birds, snakes cannot rely on calls or songs to attract partners. Many species spend most of their lives alone. Sometimes months pass without seeing another snake. Yet somehow they find each other. The answer lies in chemical messages known as pheromones. When a female snake becomes ready to reproduce, she releases a unique chemical signature. That scent drifts through the environment. Invisible, silent, but impossible for male snakes to ignore. To a male snake, that chemical trail is like a glowing path through darkness. He follows it relentlessly, over rocks, through grass, across entire landscapes, sometimes for astonishing distances. Every tongue flick confirms he is moving in the right direction. Every flick provides another piece of the message, until eventually he finds the female who left it behind. What appears to humans as random wandering is actually a snake following a conversation written on the ground. But snake language is not always peaceful. Sometimes it is competitive. During breeding season, multiple males may locate the same female. What happens next surprises many people. Most expect a violent battle, a deadly clash filled with biting and venom. Instead, many snakes engage in ritual combat. The two males rise upward. Their bodies twist around each other. They push. They wrestle. They attempt to force their opponent toward the ground. Yet they rarely bite, rarely injure one another. Because the goal is communication, not destruction. The contest sends a message. It announces strength, endurance, dominance. The winner earns the right to mate. The loser understands the result and leaves. Without a word being spoken, Both snakes understand the outcome. The message has been delivered. Perhaps the most important messages snakes exchange involve danger. Contrary to popular belief, snakes do not want conflict. Venom is precious. Energy is precious. Injuries can be fatal. Every unnecessary fight is a risk. That is why most snakes communicate before they attack. A cobra spreads its hood. A rattlesnake shakes its tail. A viper coils tightly. Many species hiss loudly. Humans often interpret these actions as aggression, but they are actually warnings. The snake is delivering a very specific message. I see you. You are too close. Leave now. The purpose is not to start a fight. The purpose is to prevent one. Conflict is avoided. Communication wins. Few warning systems are as famous as the rattlesnake's rattle. The sound is unmistakable. The moment humans hear it, they freeze. That reaction is exactly why the rattle evolved. A rattlesnake does not want to waste venom on a giant animal it cannot eat. Instead, it broadcasts a warning. The message travels farther than a hiss, farther than body language, farther than visual displays. The rattle essentially says, "Notice me before you step on me." And it works remarkably well. Both the snake and the larger animal benefit. One sound prevents a potentially deadly encounter. It is one of nature's most effective communication tools. But perhaps the strangest part of snake language involves something humans rarely think about. Vibrations. Snakes do not hear the world the way we do. Instead, they are experts at detecting movement through the ground. Every footstep creates vibrations. Every running animal sends waves through the soil. Every disturbance carries information. To a snake resting beneath leaves, the earth itself becomes a giant communication network. A rabbit creates one pattern. A deer creates another. A predator creates a completely different one. The snake interprets these signals instantly, long before it sees anything, long before danger arrives. The message has already been received. In many ways, snakes are listening to the ground itself. As scientists continue studying snake behavior, they are discovering something surprising. Individual snakes often respond differently to familiar scents compared to unfamiliar ones. Some can recognize previous mates. Others can distinguish neighboring snakes from strangers. This suggests that snake communication may be even more complex than we once believed. What we currently understand may only be the beginning. There could be entire layers of snake language that remain undiscovered. Messages we cannot yet decode. Conversations we cannot yet understand. A hidden world operating silently beneath our awareness. The next time you encounter a snake, pay attention. Watch the tongue flick. Notice the posture. Observe the movements. Listen for the hiss. Feel the stillness before it reacts. Because the snake is not simply existing. It is communicating, gathering information, sending messages, reading signals, participating in a silent conversation that has been evolving for millions of years. To us, the world may seem quiet. But to a snake, the landscape is alive with information. Invisible trails cross the ground. Chemical messages linger in the air. Warnings travel through vibrations beneath the soil. Every scent tells a story. Every movement carries meaning. Every tongue flick reveals another sentence. Because snakes have been speaking all along. Not with voices, not with words, but with one of the most extraordinary communication systems nature has ever created. And once you learn to recognize it, you'll realize something incredible. The silent world was never silent at all.